It's Monday, May 5th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central. This is show number 946, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Get 32% off at GoDaddy or pick up a domain name for $2.95. All my specials can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Hey, folks, got a great show lined up for you tonight, and even though the color is a little off, we'll talk about that in a second. Everyone, you know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran. I've got a great show lined up for you today. I'm going to be honest with you. Things have been kind of a little crazy here. As always, when isn't it crazy? I guess that's the norm, right? But I made a camera change just a couple of days ago, and I've had one heck of a time getting the color right. So if you're looking at this camera, then I switch to that camera. You can see there's, my complexion is different, everything. And it's just, what I'm going to have to do is I have to bring the other Canon down here and put it there, because the big Canon, it's different. And I think this one here is more accurate if I look at myself in the mirror. But it's just getting these two aligned. I thought I had it. And then, like a knucklehead, I've got another light in this room that was not supposed to be on. So let me show you what happens when I turn it on. It just, you probably, those of you that are watching can only see a little bit of difference. But that light wasn't supposed to be on when I was spending my 30 minutes, and I looked up and I'm like, my God, that light's on. Those of you that are listening, like, who cares? Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being part of the Ohana. And I got a lot to cover tonight, a lot to talk about, a lot to share. And, of course, if you're brand new to the show, we want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com and check out all the great content on the website. Really, there's content there for everybody, and all of our shows on the website as well. The Gadget Professor, Robot Underpants, the New Media Show, this show, Geek News Central, all just basically coming to you at on a weekly basis, multiple times, and then our bloggers are writing stuff as well. Some of you may have saw this morning that we were down for a couple of hours. What we found was in our implementation, what we're really trying to do with the new Geek News Central backend is really get as much performance out of it as possible. We made it. We tweaked a little. We tweaked it so much that it went the other way, and we caused issues. And so I said some database stuff we had to optimize this morning. But little by little, the site's getting dialed in, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. We got a couple more hurdles to get over. Then we'll start to implement the new template. And it's been a long time coming. Think how much work can be done on a website. There's an ulterior motive for what we're doing, and I'll share at a later date down the road why we've done all this, but not until that point. But, hey, again, check out Geek News Central at geeknewscentral.com. Get signed up for the newsletter. Get hooked up with, get subscribed to the show right there in the orange box in the second column of the website. And, of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at Geek News. You can email me here at the show at geeknews@gmail.com. And that's a way to reach out to the show and stay connected and provide me feedback on what we're doing here. Of course, you can follow on Google+, on Facebook, all those different social media sites as well. We have point of presences, and those of you that are insiders, we want to encourage you to basically reach out to Sam and get signed up as an insider, or basically get signed up to the insider list. We're actually also going to be, we've got the rules in place. We're getting ready to launch a special campaign just for UK podcasters. So we're looking forward to bringing that online very, very shortly. Not UK podcasters, UK listeners and readers of the website. I got podcasting on my mind. There's a, there's a good reason for that. Of course, tonight's show is sponsored in part by our good friends over at GoDaddy. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a long-time sponsor here. And we want you to take time to check out all of our offerings. We've got some great deals ongoing with promo codes from GoDaddy. Again, all you got to do is go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy to find all the codes. And our new deal hasn't come in yet. I was told by the vendor today that I would expect it sometime this week. So I will keep you advised on that. But the 32% off code is still good. Share it, share it, share it. Go 25 off 5 is 25% off your order. Also includes a new top level, includes the discounts on the new top level domains. And so definitely check that out. Of course, 50% off on new hosting plans with a free domain, and 50% off the business website builder with a free domain as well. But all those deals, again, can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. We encourage you to, and now with these, I'll finish this. And now you'll be able to save a lot of money at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. What I've got here, and I can see already it's going to be too annoying because I've got a camera right here and a camera over here, and I don't have tally lights on them. So I forget which camera's center, so I don't know which one to look at. So this setup is not perfect yet by any means. This is what I get for trying to mess with the studio here, but it's something that it needs to be done, and something that's overdue on and trying to get some different angles and so forth in the show, and so that we're not just doing this front shot all the time and have a good view from a side shot. Okay, so let me go through my little stack here. I spent a large part of yesterday afternoon basically writing up a proposal, a multitude of proposals. Matter of fact, after the show tonight, we've already had feedback from the vendor. I've got to go in and make some adjustments to the proposals and change up a little bit of the few things that I had done. So really been kind of busy here from a execution standpoint, from being able to get these promotions out and get them set up. All right, but I am like all over the place. My brain has got 50 things going on in my head. So the proposal's out and launching some advertising campaigns at the same time. So things have been kind of busy here, but is to be expected. It is that in business to be busy, not to be sitting around twiddling my thumbs. New media show this past weekend. We had Entrepreneur on Fire. Basically, John Lee Dumas was the host, not the host, the guest, and so that episode hasn't been posted. It's going to come up tonight, just before this episode's posted. It's ready. I just hadn't pressed publish on it yet. Had to work a little issue with one of the files, but I think we're okay now. We're good to go. We'll put that show up online, and for those of your content creators, you may want to check that out. Also, for the insiders again out there, make sure you get a hold of Sam at insiders@geeknewscentral.com. Now, one thing, let me go ahead and switch up here. We're going to get right into content. We're not going to waste a lot of time tonight. So let me get this closed down. And Spitballs, how you doing in the chat room? Hope you're doing good. Am I acting like I'm having I guess a blonde moment? And, don't take that the wrong way, but I think I am tonight for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some stuff that's in the news. One thing that, I know what I forgot. Duh. See, this new sequence, Sam, Sam in Albuquerque, you're just laughing at me now. I know, because what am I supposed to do next? We're supposed to go over listener email. I am like totally destroying this show tonight. I got an email in from Mark. He says, hey, Todd, with the shifting of Star Wars expanded universe into the Legends timeline, many of the stories fans have held dear for so long are probably never going to make it onto the big screen. He said Mark Renzio has put together a trailer for what this universe might have looked like on the big screen. So I'll have that link up in the show notes. Thanks, Mark. I'll put that up. I appreciate it. I got an email from Jack, and this is on Jokes and Rants. Jack, of course, a longtime listener of the show. Jack helps us out in a big way. He's the main man that is basically the guy behind the TriCaster at CES during our live events. But Jack says, hey, Todd, I'm not a big fan of April Fool Day's jokes. So, Todd, I wanted to take some time to think about my initial reaction to your April Fool Day story. And that was a while ago, Jack. He says, after your last show, you reminded us of that joke. I thought it was time to comment. I believe that any show or information product that has news in its name should never do jokes. You run the risk of damaging your credibility. The last thing you want is your audience to always ask themselves, is this story true? You have plenty of other shows you can do fool's jokes in. I don't think Geek News should be one of them. Now on to rants. I don't mind rants. It's a show, a level of intensity of concern for the subject. The problem was what was the subject of your rant? You got lost in your history and never said what the event of the story was. And let me stop there and say what kind of drove me to talk about that was some stuff I saw on Facebook, and it was a multitude of comments, Jack, about people basically always whining about work and everything else that's going on. But he said, and go back here to what he says, you got lost in the your history and never said what the event or story was, or if you did, I was already lost. You spent 10 minutes of your show time talking about something near and dear to you, but I lost the point. You followed up with a second rant, which was a bit more focused, but you wanted to tell us what to do instead of explaining what your problem with the FCC was and why it matters. In the future, if you do spend that much time on your show talking about or events that are near and dear to you, stay focused, tell us a story, then rant about the problem you have with the story. Maybe next time you should write down bullet points ahead of time so you can make points with clarity. If it is too difficult, if it is too much effort to do that, then maybe the rant isn't worth it. Love the show. Your loyal listener and occasional producer. Hey, fair, Jack. Very, very fair, because when I got done with that, I was like, man, that really didn't come across right. And for those of you that didn't tune into that show, or if you did and you're still completely lost what I was talking about, was I had read, like I said on Facebook, a number of posts, people complaining about work, complaining about their boss. It was complaining about, there was stuff about the ag community, and it was just a culmination of things that, and what it really did to me is number one, I guess I was trying to relay in my rant, which obviously I didn't come across, was the value of hard work. Number two, respect where your food comes from. Three, quit complaining and get out there and figure out really where stuff comes from that gets on your dinner table and so forth. And if you don't like it, go raise your own, I guess, is the better point. And I don't know if that does any better to help clear up the rant that I had. But I remember, that rant probably started from, we missed a show right before that rant. And I really kind of had my mind dialed in 4 or 5 days before that on what I wanted to talk about. And, of course, like you said, I lost you guys completely on that one. So that's water underneath the bridge. We can't take it back. But I actually thought about cutting that piece out. But thanks, Jack, for your comments. And yes, the rants, we'll make sure we get to the point and tell you guys what the point is. Got an email from Steve, and he says, hey, Todd, please pass us on the show or help. Thanks. It says, help Steve get his teeth fixed. My name is Steve Novak, and I need your help, please. At 45, I was diagnosed with Hep C and first stage cirrhosis, and I guess he's having issues with his teeth. So I'm going to definitely check his fundraiser out, and I'll link that up. And so I don't know if I probably got an email from Steve before, but I'll put that link up in the show notes. Thanks for your input, and good luck on your fundraiser, Steve. And also, I got an email from Robert. He says, Todd, in the last show, you mentioned wanting an app that tells you where you parked your car in a garage. Back in early 2010, the Where Did I Park My Car app in the App Store seemed fairly popular, but everyone I found required fiddling with the app after you parked. I wanted one that remembered where you parked automatically when you left the car, so I thought that might be a good app to create. Unfortunately, it's never been as popular as the ones that don't remember. Basically, you don't remember automatically. It does, however, tell you how many feet or meters up or down your car is located when you're in a garage. Autopark.com. That was the same year that Apple changed their app guidelines. So between that not covering the cost of the annual developer renewal fees, I've never uploaded the next release, which made it work a little better when you made several stops in a row. So Rob, you got to put that app up, man, so we can get it. But check out autopark.com. Let's see. I think that's it for emails. Let me check. I got one more. Got one here on a story that was over on Chromecast, basically on Engadget. It came from Jeff Seal, one of our longtime listeners of the show. He says, "Hey Todd, play nearly any video on Chromecast using this browser add-on." So I'll have a link up to that in the show notes tonight as well. So Jeff, thanks for that. Sending that over. I may have covered that on the last show, but they all run together. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch gears here and get into the content. Like I said, I'm completely being a bird brain tonight. It's been crazy. To be honest with you, it's been a little too crazy. I had a few weeks there where things kind of calmed down, but it's just like, both Angela and I were talking about today. It's like, my God, when it rains, it pours. When you're busy, it's great to be busy. Things are good. When the phone isn't ringing, that's not good. But and I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Just let the phones keep on ringing. But it's been kind of nuts. It really has. Good nuts. Good nuts where I can start hiring some more people to do some of the stuff that I don't need to be doing. That's a good thing. All right, level 3. Let's talk about level 3. We've talked about level 3 from time to time. They're a network operator. They're a big backbone provider. And network operator level 3, which is supposed to have peering arrangements. We talked about peering arrangements on the show a couple times already with basically everyone. Level 3 has asked the FCC to protect them from arbitrary access charges that ISPs want in exchange for accepting internet traffic. Today, Level 3 claim that 6 consumer broadband providers have allowed a state of permanent congestion by refusing to upgrade peering connections for the past year. Level 3 and Cogent, another network provider, have been involved in disputes with ISPs over whether they should pay for the right to send them traffic. ISPs have demanded payment in exchange for accepting streaming video and other data that is passed from the network providers to the ISPs and eventually to consumers. Now, when the interconnections are not upgraded, it can lead to congestion and drop packets, as we wrote. Basically, this is what's been talked about. We've talked about the Cogent and Verizon dispute. And now level 3 is basically asking the FCC for help. They go on to say a port, this is a network port, that is on average utilized at 90% will be saturated, dropping packets for several hours a day. We have congested ports saturated for those levels with 12 of our 51 peers. 6 of those 12 have a congested port, and we are both level 3 and our peer in the process of making upgrades. This is business as usual. It happens occasionally as traffic swings around the internet as customers change providers. That leaves the remaining 6 peers with the congestion on almost all the interconnected ports between us. Congestion that is permanent, has been in place for well over a year, and where our peers refuse to augment capacity. So they can change at any time. He says they are deliberately harming the service they deliver to their paying customers. They're not allowing us to fulfill requests their customers make for content. 5 of those congested peers are in the United States, and 1 is in Europe. There are none in any other market of the world. Let me read that again. They are none in any other part of the world. All 6 are large broadband consumer networks with a dominant or exclusive market share in their local market in countries or markets where consumers have multiple broadband choices like the UK. There are no congested. In countries or markets where consumers have multiple broadband choices like the UK, there are no congested peers. So what's going on here is you and I are paying our cable company to provide us internet service. And what they're doing is they have to interconnect. They have to connect with companies like Level 3, with Cogent, with a variety of different backhaulers. These are the folks that, basically once it leaves like Time Warner, as soon as it hits the fiber that goes through the ocean to LA, that's basically backhauling. And then it connects into some other networks and routes around and gets there. Well, in those peering arrangements, what they do is they tell the traffic where to go. They give in the routing, they say this traffic has to go this way because we have a peering arrangement. Well, Level 3, again, is a big data provider. They have pipes on either side. They help people with the transition of data going through their networks and so forth. And at the same time, they let other traffic come through and vice versa. It's a two-way street. So what's really happening here, and what's really happening right now, is with me pushing this show live, I'm pushing media out. My internet service provider, it's going over to YouTube servers. So I'm actually helping Netflix right now by live streaming this show because I'm pushing data up and essentially offsetting at least one Netflix feed right now with doing this show live. Now, that's not to say that's very significant, but most internet service providers' networks are built to be download only, not so much upload. As we all know, upload speeds are slower. So what's really going on here is that basically Level 3 is basically calling out the ISP saying, you're causing this problem on purpose. Just because you want more money, you want to be, and we actually could have come up with a lower third for this. These ISPs are becoming toll trolls, and they're not playing nice, and we're paying for service. They're not delivering it. And so what we're having is when you make a request to watch something on YouTube or you request a Netflix video and it's 2 minutes in and it stops, and you kind of have to fiddle with it to get it going, that's because there's congestion in the network and the internet service provider is not delivering you the service that you're paying for. So what I would do is every time you have troubles with Netflix or something you're streaming, whether it be a YouTube video, this show, any other content, and I would call or file an email complaint saying, hey, my connection keeps dropping. You keep dropping. It's not making it to me. What is your problem? And they may all come back and say, we're having these negotiations. But again, they're being toll trolls. Level 3 today said it has settlement-free agreements with 48 of its 51 peers, meaning they exchange traffic without any money changing hands. The company is interconnected with those 51 peers in 45 cities through over 1,360 10 gigabit Ethernet ports, plus a few smaller ports. He goes on to say, in one case, a peer pays us for access to a number of routes in a region where their network doesn't go, a choice they made, rather than buying internet service from another party. So basically what's going on here is, Level 3 is saying, FCC, help us, net neutrality. These folks are causing toll roads to be put up, and they're purposely impacting traffic. If we had, like they said, if we had competition in the United States, if I had 3, 4, 5 internet service providers here in Hawaii to choose from, you can absolutely be guaranteed they would be bending over on each other to try and basically compete and make sure that I had the best possible experience all the time. If I had choice and it wasn't good, I could leave. I don't have that choice here in Hawaii. After all, I got a DSL connection for one of my Skype connections. Yeah, give me a break. And then, of course, this connection's not bad, but I can't put it up against any other provider here to give me the same level. So there's really no competition. All right, moving topics here. Bill to end NSA's mass surveillance moves closer to a vote. The House Judiciary Committee is getting ready to begin markup procedures on the USA Freedom Act. So that's continuing to move forward here. There's 140 co-sponsors in the House. Doesn't say if they have anybody in the Senate. Even with the support of 140 House members and dozens of organizations, there's still no guarantee the U.S. Freedom Act will ever become law. The Intelligence Committee is bound to fight tooth and nail for its own version. The president may well veto the law if it fails to include provisions like immunity for the telcos. So I think he's promoting immunity for the telcos. So we'll see where this goes. Over in the Wall Street Journal, there was an interview that was done this weekend it was involving Brian Dye, Symantec's senior vice president for information security. He made an incredible statement. He says that commercial antivirus software to protect computers from hackers a quarter century ago says those tactics basically are doomed to fail. We don't think of antivirus as a moneymaker in any way. Antivirus products aimed to prevent hackers from getting into a computer, but hackers often get in anyway these days. So Mr. Dye said that they're leading a reinvention at Symantec that reflects a broader shift in the $70 billion a year cybersecurity industry. Rather than fighting to keep the bad guys out, new technologies from an array of companies assume hackers get in, so they aim to spot them and minimize the damage. This is crazy. So they're basically saying we've lost. They're not going to stop selling Norton antivirus, but they expect to join the fray of companies that are going to be helping businesses fight off cyber threats. I don't know where that's going to leave consumers. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? He says, and this is kind of interesting. He says it's galling to watch other security companies surge ahead. It's one thing to sit there and get frustrated, he said. It's another thing to act on it, go get your act together and play the game you should have been playing in the first place. So it looks like major a move out by their part to shake some things up. He says hackers can recently use unique bugs. He says he estimates that antivirus now catches just about 45% of cyber attacks. And this, according to the Wall Street Journal, puts Symantec in a pickle. Antivirus and other products that run on individual devices still count for 40% of the company's revenue. And I think a lot of us count on these types of applications to protect our machines. They just need to have a better widget, a better product. You know, come on, it can't be rocket science, guys. This is what you're in the business for. So we will see. Maybe another antivirus company will surge ahead. What do you guys use? geeknews@gmail.com. What are you using for antivirus these days? And if you're a Mac user and you're saying you're using nothing, you're nuts. So the Windows folks out there, what are you guys using right now? Drop me a note, geeknews@gmail.com. All right, the United States government has begun rolling out its driver's licenses for the internet. Did you know that? Apparently, the White House had a brilliant idea a couple years ago. They wanted to create a single secure online ID that Americans could use to verify their identity across multiple websites, starting with local government services. Sound convenient? Sound scary? Next month, the pilot program of the National Strategy for Trusted Identities in Cyberspace will begin in government agencies in 2 U.S. states to test out whether the pros of a federally verified cyber ID outweigh the cons. Wow. This is interesting. So they're going to be doing this in Michigan and where else? Pennsylvania. So the first test appeared to be exclusively aimed at accessing public programs like government assistance. The government believes this ID system will help reduce fraud and overhead by eliminating duplicated ID efforts across multiple agencies. So does that mean folks that they're getting government assistance are going to get a special ID for the net. It goes on to say the program isn't strictly limited to government use. The ultimate goal is a replacement of many logins and passwords people maintain to access content and participate in comment threads and forums. This solution, while somewhat practical, brings up some pretty incredible privacy concerns. The EFF obviously has weighed in here and basically said that they argued that the right to anonymous speech in the digital realm is protected under the First Amendment. It's called the program radical, concerning, and pointed out that the plan makes scant mention of the unprecedented threats such as the scheme would pose to privacy and free speech online, and the keepers of the identity credentials would be the government itself, and the keepers of the identity credentials would not be the government, but a third-party organization. When the program was introduced in 2011, banks, technology companies, or cell phone service providers were suggested for the role, so theoretically Google or Verizon could have access to a comprehensive profile of who you are that's shared with every site you visit as mandated by the government. Oh, man. So the government wants to give us an ID to log into commercial accounts, and they're going to give that credential data to Google and other companies? Oh, man. This was smart. This is really smart by our executive branch to suggest this program. Yes, the National Strategy for Trusted Identities in Cyberspace. Is that a division of a certain OGA, other government agency? It makes you go, doesn't it? With everything that's been going on in the news as of recent, I'm sure most Americans would be like, not I. I shall not participate. All right, let's talk just a little bit about remote-controlled aircraft. Jack, are you listening? I know you weren't a helicopter pilot, but imagine DOD basically taking an H-60 and doing vert reps with it, basically hauling gear, and not having a pilot on board, just the operational pilot standing on the flight deck or standing on the ground with a backpack and remote control, and basically controlling the helicopter. Well, I guess it's taking the Amazon stuff to the next level, right? Amazon was going to use drones to haul your packages. It looks like the Army is going to be using fully capable aircraft aircraft capable of having a pilot sit in the seat and offloading them and basically putting them on the ground. I think this just is a recipe for disaster. Pilot optional aircraft are being tested, and of course we know being flown by the military, and could make it possible to convert existing fleet of helicopters into aircraft that either can be flown by humans or dispatched on their own depending on the mission. The Office of Naval Research Autonomous Aerial Cargo Utility System program that the Army optionally the Army's optionally piloted Black Hawk program have both demonstrated that full-size helicopters can be configured to fly on their own, taking off and landing while safely avoiding obstacles. And a new Defense Advanced Research Project, DARPA, is seeking to create a system that could handle every aspect of a flight crew's job, including things like aircraft maintenance. Good luck on that one. So that's just it to me is incredible. And they say we could get to a point where you could be in a commercial aircraft flying and look out the window and see another aircraft flying that would be hauling cargo and not passengers, basically a drone 777 in the air, point to point. FedEx wouldn't have to put a pilot, wouldn't have to worry about crew rest. All they'd have to do is gas and oil the thing and get the data link up and send it down the runway and fly to the next location. And, you got some of it being autonomous during flight, and then maybe a pilot taking over for landing. Of course, one pilot could land many aircraft. You wouldn't have to have, multiple pilots landing. You get them up, put them on autopilot, send them on the route, and a small number of pilots could handle the job. What would be many. So this is in the future, folks, and don't you think they're not going to try to do it? I don't feel very comfortable having remote-controlled vehicles over the skies, hauling cargo or otherwise. It's a little unnerving. At least a pilot is smart enough that if something has gone sideways and the aircraft is in trouble, the pilot usually can work through those issues very, very quickly and either recover the aircraft, or if push comes to shove, put the aircraft down in a location that is going to minimize the number of civilian casualties on the ground. And I just don't think that's going to be possible with, you're basically a FedEx truck in the air hauling the FedEx boxes from one point to the other with no flight crew on board. To me, it just seems completely insane, knowing all the stuff that goes in. If there's a fire, yes, aircraft have fires. Who's going to be there to put the fire out? Nobody. In these types of situations, while they don't happen very often, when they do happen, they have to be reacted to, and something has to be done. A crew member has to act, pull a circuit breaker, fire a fire extinguisher, you name it. I did 25 years flying, folks. This stuff just happens. Thousands of flights, and you have a couple of them that make your eyeballs get big. If there'd been no one there, it went really bad very, very quickly. And you don't want that type of situation to happen while the aircraft is over New York City or some other heavily populated area. All right, switching gears here. Oculus wants to build a billion-person MMO with Facebook. Now, when Facebook purchased Oculus VR for $2 billion, both companies stayed fairly tight-lipped about their goals. We know that the money would help Oculus build virtual reality headsets, while Facebook would have a chance to lead the next big computing platform. Apparently, Oculus CEO just told an audience at TechCrunch about one lofty possibility for the pair, building a massively multiplayer experience for 1 billion simultaneous users. This is going to be an MMO where we want to put 1 billion people in VR, he told the audience. Now, a 1 billion person MMO is going to take an incredible network, probably bigger than one exists in the world today, but they say that to get to 1 billion, they're going to need an infrastructure like Facebook. So it's pretty amazing here that they think that they could get 1 billion people online at once. But 10, 20, 50 million, maybe that's more reasonable. But MMO, multi-person, that's just crazy. But we'll see. See where they take this. SpaceX innovative reusable rocket soars to 3,300 feet and lands safely today. So this is good. They did another test launch, and it'll be available. I'll have a link up in the show notes. So this time they went up to 3,300 feet. This is about 3 times higher than they went before, and successfully landed the rocket upright. So congratulations to them on that. All right, all kinds of cool kits coming out for kids and maybe adults too. You want to build a spacecraft at home with a NASA-approved space kit? Well, they've got them. Space.com has got the details here for you. And it's called the Little Bit Space Kit. Lets anyone build NASA-approved spacecraft and other designs using special modules and instructions provided in the kit. And so this basically lets them kids perform experiments and build models of real spacecraft, just like the scientists at NASA. The NASA-approved Little Bits Space Kit teaches users how to build a model of a Mars rover, the International Space Station, a variety of scaled-down experiments that scientists use to explore the solar system. The kit comes with 12 modules that users can snap together to complete 5 lesson plans created by the space agency. Little Bits also provides 10 projects modeled after real experiments. So let me see. What is the price on this thing? Do we have one? let's see here. Where's the price? $189, and going to be available online. So I'll have the link up in the show note for you to check out. This is just cool stuff. What a great way to get a young person involved in space and science projects and doing kinds of cool stuff. I love it. It's the Rector set of the digital age. Scientists are saying that they can reverse aging in mice by giving them young blood. So apparently, they were able to pump the blood of juvenile mice into elderly rodents. And basically, they saw the elderly rodents suddenly able to run much faster, had more blood vessels in the brain, and had much clearer thinking. Harvard researchers subsequently isolated a protein called GDF11, which helped both the operations of hearts and brains. It was a pretty limited study, so the team are cautious about what this could mean for human biology. It's always about chasing the fountain of youth, isn't it? But it is an interesting development for sure from a science standpoint. At the same time, nanotech Trojan horses target and kill brain cancer. This is an article over on computerworld.com. Let me bring that up for those of you watching. So scientists at Johns Hopkins, I'm going to tell you, the Johns Hopkins folks are smart cookies. They're using nanoparticles as Trojan horses that deliver death genes to kill brain cancer cells that surgeons can't get to. The nanoparticles are biodegradable and deliver the genes which induce death in cancer cells but don't affect healthy cells. A brain tumor is killed by the so-called death genes without damaging healthy brain tissue, which is a normal side effect of other cancer treatments such as chemo and radiation. In their experiments, nanoparticles successfully delivered a test gene to a brain cancer cell in a mice, which it was then turned on. We now have evidence that these tiny Trojan horses will also be able to carry genes that selectively induce death in cancer cells while leaving the healthy cells healthy. So this is kind of an interesting dealio here. According to the American Cancer Society, people between 45 and 54 years old who have glioblastomas have a 17% chance of surviving for 5 years or more. That survival rate drops to 4% to 6% between people 55 and 64. And they feel that this particular nanotechnology be able to target this specific disease. So pretty cool stuff here. Also, polio. That's something you don't hear of very often, but polio spread is declared an international emergency by the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization declared the recent spread of polio to be a health emergency. Recent virus transmission from Pakistan, Cameroon, and Syria to other states in Africa and Middle East. We were close to eradication of polio. But the WHO recommends that these countries see that all the residents and long-term visitors do not leave the country without receiving the polio vaccine. Countries where the virus has been seen but not spread from was Afghanistan, Equatorial Guinea, Ethiopia, Iraq, Israel, Somalia, and Nigeria. But basically, if you're going to be visiting or going there, if you have not had the polio vaccine, you need to do that. Polio's high transmission season will begin this month and will continue through June. And the WHO says it will take a coordinated international response in order to prevent further spread of the wide polio virus. That's crazy. So anyway, just a heads up on that, okay, folks? All right, moving on here over to ours. Beyond x86, new and different AMD plans ARM chips for consumers. That's pretty cool. Project Skybridge promises AMD ARM chips for Android support for PC and tablets. Basically, what they've done here is they've got a chip that will interchange in a lot of different slots. So that's pretty cool. Their ARM processors were their initial step away in 2012 from x86 CPU instruction sets, which the company had relied on since the 80s. And however, those chips, 64-bit and 16-core, based on ARM's Cortex-4 A57 architecture, are designed for servers, not for consumer products. today the company gave us some more details about its plan. But this is pretty cool. And these x86 and ARM chips will, again, be pin compatible, meaning that designers could swap an ARM chip for an x86 one without changing anything about the design. In theory, an OEM could build a full x86 Windows 8.1 tablet, swap the chip, and release an ARM-based Android tablet while keeping the rest of the design the same. So kind of smart on AMD's part in what they're doing there. All right, are you on the go type of guy or gal? Do you blog? Do you write? Do you do video? Lifehacker's got a good checklist for stuff that you should have in your backpack, and a variety of different items. It's always good to see different ideas from different folks. So I'll have that link up in the show notes for you to check out. 7 to 10 people don't use Microsoft Office anymore. I find that hard to believe. Everyone I know uses Office. Very few people, I just don't see many people that don't. Have you quit using Office yourself? I'd love to hear feedback. geeknews at gmail.com. Okay, so switching gears here again. You guys heard about this big outage, this big flight outage they had last week in the Los Angeles basin. Well, there was basically a air traffic control shutdown. But what it was, and NBC News, citing anonymous sources, said the U-2 spy plane, an older version of which once flew spy missions over Russia 5 decades ago, was traveling at some 60,000 feet when it hit airspace near Los Angeles. Air traffic control computers at the LA Air Route Traffic Control Center in Palmdale, and I've been there, visited, that's a pretty cool center, were trying to prevent the craft from crashing into planes that were flying miles below. So basically, this system gave up. It crashed. The Federal Aviation Administration's ongoing $40 billion traffic control upgrade, again, shut itself down before the program fried. So it didn't know that this aircraft, it apparently didn't know that this aircraft was at 60,000 feet, well above commercial traffic. And you know, as many as 500 flights in and out of the LA International Airport were halted for about an hour. Interesting development. Now, they're saying here as a side note, nearby Edwards Air Force Base has been known to house the U-2. The U.S. Air Force has a fleet of about nearly 3 dozen U-2 aircraft built in the 1980s. Kind of cool. Aggressive, persistent Windows tech support scammers continue to stalk. No signs of slowing down, so be aware that they're preying on people, trying to scam them into basically fixing a computer that isn't broke for the sole purpose of getting into your machine and basically hacking it and owning your private information. Last week was a big day for the trolls, the patent trolls, that is. Essentially, the Senate started working on an amendment for patent reform bill. And basically, the amendment said in this patent reform bill that was going to go in effect on April 24th that would force the loser, in other words, the troll, if he lost one of these cases, to pay the lawyers of who they sued. So they had a huge number of filings the day before that amendment was set to basically be the line in the sand. And so there's a huge spike. I guess well over 300, no, actually 193 different patent lawsuits were filed in a single day, which is a pretty high number. Okay, over at Apple. Apple's stocks have surged past $600 for the first time since 2012. It's all about that 7-for-1 stock split. You know, people want to get that stock before it splits, and but that's pretty cool. And I don't know the exact date of when the split's going to happen, but definitely the stock is up, and the shareholders are happy about the recent performance of Apple. All right, Google Now is got an update. It will tell you if a nearby store has a product that you've searched for recently. So if you've searched for a Louis Vuitton purse, a specific model, and you go to the mall and you get close to a Louis Vuitton store, they're actually going to let you know if the store actually carries that product and give you a price. If it's possible for you to be able to they're basically now, as you're walking, you're going to be like, hey, that everything that you've been searching for, they're going to try to prompt you to spend some money. So they're not going to know whether it's in stock or not. You're still going to have to go in to confirm availability, but you are going to be able to find the product, and you're actually going to be able to do a search to find the store that's closest to you that has a specific product or service that you're looking for. The folks over at Yahoo seem to think that the Apple iWatch may be much more ambitious than what everyone's thinking. Some LinkedIn profile updates indicate that Apple's hired biomedical engineers from companies including Vital Connect, Sano Intelligence, O2 MedTech, and Masimo. So based on the folks that they've hired, they think that this iWatch may be a little more aggressive than it was. At the same time, their in-ear piece that was talked about last week, total fraud, fake. It's not the real deal. So that was a bad report. Now, if you're shopping, here's something that's really, really bad. If you're out shopping and you see something, go into the store and you touch it. Let's say you're going to buy a mouse, and let me just grab a Microsoft or Apple mouse. So let's say you're gonna buy this mouse. You could actually now tweet pound Amazon cart and the name of your product, and it would add it to your cart. So if you got a temptation to spend money and buy something and don't want to carry it in the mall, you just can Amazon it through Twitter, and it'll add the item in your cart, or at least put a link in so that you can find it later. But if I looked at the demo, and I don't know if I would want people to, because you're going to have to tweet this, so I don't know if I want people to know what I'm buying all the time. This particular product, as an example, they said, reply with pound Amazon cart to add the banana slicer to your cart. So add it to the Amazon cart. So it's going to make a lot of manufacturers upset, because you're basically going to be able to more easily, and in this instance, shop by price, which is going to hurt the regular storefronts. Moving on here, Google takes its same-day delivery service to New York and L.A. Just over a year since it started offering same-day deliveries to San Francisco, Google Shopping Express has finally made its way out of California. And the service, which offers expedited shipping from major stores like Target, Staples, and Walgreens, but also local business in expanded parts of New York and L.A. Residents living in Manhattan can now call upon Google to deliver groceries, gadgets, and office supplies in super fast times. Shoppers in Culver City, Inglewood, Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica, Venice, West Los Angeles, and Westwood are now also eligible. So I've never done any Google shopping per se like that. Congratulations to WordPress.com, parent company Automatic. They raised $160 million in new funding today, so nice cash in on that. Also want to talk just a little bit about a woman who lost her iPhone. She reached out. She basically found where the phone was using iPhone, basically Find My Phone, and found the area it was. She called the police department in that local area, and the police department said, hey, we don't have time to send officers over there. Why don't you go over there yourself and check it out? And I thought to myself, and it shows a picture of this lady, and I'm going to assume it's her. I don't know if I would ever go, if I knew my phone was at a specific house. I don't know what kind of people live there. All I can know is they could meet me at the door and blast me. Stupider things have happened. I would not risk going and confronting someone that potentially has stolen merchandise. Why the police did not help her, I don't understand. Here's what she says. Marjorie said when she and her friend called Los Angeles police, they were instructed to head to West Covina themselves and call 911 if they feel threatened. She looked up the area on Google Maps, which convinced her that it wasn't too sketchy. She says it wasn't Compton, it was West Covina. There are countless other stories of people becoming GPS vigilantes. But, you know, some people have gotten hurt doing this. So, I don't know. Is it worth the price? That's a dice I don't know if I'd be willing to roll, to be honest with you. To go get my phone from a third party. I'd wipe the stupid thing and chalk it up as a loss. And, you know, in my own stupidity, I don't think I'd go to someone's house and knock on the door and say, give me my phone back. You know, oh yeah, boom. You know, I just, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Apparently, moving on to a different topic here, talk about stuff being lost. UPS just delivered a $400,000 drone to some dude by mistake. The guy got a drone delivered to his house, and inside it was a U.S. federal property sticker. Said return to NOAA Aircraft Operations Centers, Hangar Loop Drive, MacDill Air Force Base, Tampa, Florida. Even gave a phone number. But what was crazy was UPS said, oh, we'll come get it in a few days after we get it figured out. He says, okay, I don't know that I should have this in my home. And he actually called the number, and they arranged for it to get picked up quicker. But kind of a weird thing to get dropped off at your house is a drone. It wasn't even the full body. It was just the wings and some stuff. It was one of those mini ones, not super big. If you use Google Docs a lot, you can now crop and add borders to images in Google Docs. So that's an update. Bill Gates is saying that he doesn't think he'll sell off Bing, but Xbox, he might be willing to spin Xbox off. That, to me, based on some of the stuff that they're trying to do with their strategy, wouldn't make a lot of sense. But maybe it's time for Xbox to go stand on its own. I don't know. But I don't know if Microsoft can survive without Xbox by itself. Mozilla has also stepped up to the plate and asked the FCC to rethink net neutrality with content providers in mind. Mozilla is concerned that the FCC's second take on net neutrality won't be enough to guarantee the internet service providers treat all content fairly. To that end, the Firefox developers just given the FCC a solution of its own. They say regulate the relationship between ISPs and remote delivery services like Dropbox and Netflix. If these content hosts were subject to the same common carrier rules as phone lines, Mozilla argues, ISPs wouldn't be allowed to discriminate against incoming services by blocking them or slowing them down. So good point by the folks at Mozilla/Firefox. All right, John McAfee's back in the news. He's released a new chat app called Chatter. It's a secure messaging app. Now, according to McAfee, Chatter is an unprecedented messaging platform. We have developed this highly secure system with extraordinarily team of developers at the prestigious Rochester Institute of Technology. In fact, McAfee goes as far as saying the app is so secure that the developers themselves won't be able to read your messages. Chatter is a fun and easy-to-use messaging app that helps to keep your communications private, so private that we can't see it ourselves. So another messaging app for Android, for those of you that are interested in picking one up. There's also one available, an iOS version's on the way, and there is a Windows Phone version for it, so Android and Windows Phone. Hey, did you guys know that a truck-sized asteroid slipped between the moon and the Earth today? Actually, it happens on Saturday. In the early hours of Saturday morning, an asteroid whizzed past Earth at what astronomical terms a very close shave, skimming at 186,000 miles. Asteroid dubbed 2014 HL-129 was a 4 to 15 meter wide chunk of space debris and cruised by us at 4:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time within the moon's orbital track. So they said this wouldn't have been large enough to cause serious harm, just the equivalent around a 10 kiloton nuclear device. Okay. Not very big. 10 kiloton, last time I checked, that was pretty big. Pretty big indeed. All right. crazy start to the show today, but we got into the groove here when we got into the news. So this is going to wrap us up for today's show. I want to thank you all for being here and being part of the family. I've got lots to share here as time goes on and what's been going on behind the scenes. Some stuff that I haven't shared with you guys up to this point for business reasons. But lots going on, and look forward to being back with you on Thursday. And hopefully things have calmed down just a little bit. But time will tell on that. But everyone take care. We want to see you guys next time. Take care. And aloha. All right, let me shut the recordings off for those of you that are... All right, this one here is got to shut the main captures off. All right. Those of you on YouTube, we're going to see you a little bit. Hey, Spitballs, thanks for hanging. And felt like I was out of my mind at the beginning of the show tonight. It was nuts. Okay. We'll see you.